Josh, we saw on Sunday what we said were probably the two biggest games going into week 7 of the NFL season: Detroit at Baltimore, Miami at Philly. We saw Baltimore absolutely boat race the Detroit Lions, and then we saw Philadelphia get more physical with Miami on Sunday Night Football. And so the question really is, who were you more impressed with over the weekend? The Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC or the AFC's Baltimore Ravens?
This one is easy for me. It's Lamar Jackson and those Baltimore Ravens. And this isn't even close for me.
Not
Because,
even close.
no, because think about this. Last week, what were we saying? What was I saying on the show? The Detroit Lions are the best team in the NFC.
Which I told you were wrong. And once again, I was proven right. Go on.
People were saying Jared Goff should be in the MVP discussion, and like the Detroit Lions got all of this hype. And on the other side, the Baltimore Ravens were like, you should have beaten the Pittsburgh Steelers the week prior, but you dropped like 8 passes, 3 of which should have been touchdowns. You know, they lost the game earlier in the season against the Indianapolis Colts, which is another game they should have won. So really, the Ravens should have been going into this game undefeated. But because they weren't, and, the Lions had done what they had done, destroying the Tampa Bay Buccaneers the previous week and, seemingly catching the rest of the NFL by surprise. No, it wasn't by surprise, really, but really gaining the full attention of the NFL, I should say. And then the Ravens just say, oh, yeah, we're not impressed by you, Detroit. We're just going to go ahead and absolutely destroy you. And so that's why I was more impressed with the Ravens. And here's why I wasn't impressed by the Philadelphia Eagles. Look at who the Miami Dolphins have beaten so far. They dropped 70 points on the Denver Broncos. They beat the New York Giants. They beat the Carolina Panthers. They beat the New England Patriots. And they beat the LA Chargers. Are any of those teams in a position to make the playoffs or be contenders in any size, shape, or form?
Chargers,
No.
yeah. Chargers,
No,
yeah. Chargers will be there at the end. Chargers
no, they're
will be there
not.
at the end.
No, they
Will
won't.
they make it? I don't know, but they'll be there at the end just because they have a fantastic quarterback. All right.
Yeah, but here's the thing. So the Dolphins absolutely boat raced most of their opponents. I get it. They narrowly won against the Chargers and Patriots. I get it. But still. And then look at what happened when they stepped up in competition in Buffalo. They got absolutely smashed. So to see them step up in competition again and get killed by the Eagles, it wasn't that surprising. So that's why it wasn't that impressive for the Eagles, because the Dolphins, I have to say it, the Dolphins, I think, are a little bit fraudulent.
I've been sitting here for 3 minutes way too long. It is my turn.
Okay, Skip Bayless. Okay.
To answer this question, who was I more impressed with? I agree with you that I was more impressed with the Baltimore Ravens and their victory over the Lions than I was a Miami.
There you go.
But it wasn't by a mile like what you said, because let me explain what really happened in these two games. First of all, is what I said last week when I told you the Lions are not near the roster of San Francisco. They're not. They're not anywhere close near the roster of Philadelphia. They're not. They still need to add secondary pieces. They still need to add a couple defensive linemen, and they need to add a second wide receiver for Jared Goff outside of Amon-Ra St. Brown. I also told you that we need to see Jared Goff outdoors against a good opponent have a good game. He did not. I also told you the Lions defense was a little bit overrated, and I still think that they are. I will say this. it is tough playing Lamar Jackson his first go around. Lamar's 16-1 in his last 17 games against NFC opponents. So I'm not going to sit here and say the Lions are frauds. I'm not going to sit here and say that they're not going to win the North, because they are. They're going to win 10, 11, 12 games. They're going to win a playoff game. And this was just one bad Sunday. But what my Philadelphia Eagles did was not as impressive, but it was pretty impressive what they did to the Miami Dolphins, because they took out the Dolphins running game. Now, yes, did Tyreek Hill drop a potential touchdown pass? Absolutely, he did. Tyreek Hill made two incredible plays. One he dropped that was a touchdown. One he beat James Bradbury and the safety Justin Evans over the top. They bracketed him in double coverage. He still beat him for a touchdown on a great throw by Tua. Nonetheless, the Eagles got more physical with the Dolphins, and once again, they only punted the ball one time, turned the ball over twice. If it wasn't for Jalen Hurts' 3 turnovers, which again, one was not his fault, it pass interception, one was his fault, the fumble. If it wasn't for those turnovers, the Philadelphia Eagles could have put 45 points on the Dolphins' heads. The Eagles are the best offensive line in football, like I've been telling you over the last 7 weeks. They have the best defensive line in football. They have the best wide receiver combo in football with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. We saw Dallas Goedert emerge on Sunday night, and that was a complete football team beating up a really good football team. The Dolphins are not a bad team. Yes, they beat up on some bad competition, but they're not a bad football team.
I didn't say they were.
What they are is attractive. Well, you just call them frauds. Frauds means they're not very good. They are a very good team. They basically, they're the speedboat of the NFL. They will outrace you. But if you get them behind, if you force Tua to pass, if you take away the first read option on those deep in routes, which they love to run, which the Eagles finally took away in the second half, they're not as good as I said going into that game Sunday night. So the fact of the matter is, I didn't expect Baltimore to blow out Detroit. It was 1 week. We'll see what happens towards the end of the season, because we don't know if Baltimore is going to be healthy or not towards the end of the season. But I thought both these teams were impressive in their own freaking way.
And I agree with everything you said.
Well, you weren't impressed by Philadelphia at all.
No, that's not the message I was trying to.
That is literally exactly what you said. You said I wasn't impressed with the Eagles because I expected this because the Dolphins are frauds.
Okay. Well, the Dolphins have shown that up to this point. Because again, what happened after they dropped 70 on the Denver Broncos? They go up to Buffalo and they get absolutely hammered. The Dolphins have shown. I'm not saying the Dolphins are a bad team. They are a playoff team. They are a very good team. But you have to be able to take your game up from beating up the not good teams to the caliber of the Philadelphia Eagles, the San Francisco 49ers, the Dallas Cowboys, Detroit Lions, that caliber of team. And the Dolphins thus far have not shown that they can do that. That's my point. That's why I was less impressed by the Eagles. I was not trying to say they weren't impressive at all, because Jalen Hurts and his connection with A.J. Brown was on full display last Sunday. I'll give him that. I need to see a little bit more from Devontae Smith, though. That's not to say like Devontae is a bad wide receiver. Because I get it. He won the Heisman Trophy at Alabama, rightfully so. I was like pushing hard for him to win Heisman Trophy that season, so I was super excited when it was announced that he won. But it feels like his game hasn't fully translated over to the NFL. Do you get what I mean?
No, I completely disagree, because when he was the number one, on the Philadelphia Eagles in 2021. He had a very good season. He had over 1,000 yards. He had a very good year last year. He broke the record for most catches by an Eagle in a single season since A.J. Brown got most yards because the offense was so explosive last year. The yards and catches have not been there this year. And I think a lot of it is because A.J. Brown just getting open and dominating the game. But you're seeing they are trying to get Devontae Smith involved. He had another incredible catch on an escape by Jalen Hurts on Sunday night. So Devontae will have his game. Who knows? It could come this Sunday against Washington. We do got to move on though, Josh. We're on a tight timeline tonight. I'm interested to hear your answer to this. San Francisco last night, in my opinion, in a shock, lost to a very conservative Vikings play calling that I did not like at the end of that game. I thought Minnesota was trying to lose the game on purpose. Kirk Cousins played the best Monday night game of his life at points without even Jordan Addison in that game. We know Justin Jefferson's out. Very impressive from the side of the Vikings. But your level of concern now for the team that you thought going in had the potential MVP on their roster in Christian McCaffrey. Now they've lost two straight to the Browns and the Vikings.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest, 10 being like panic button type of thing. Is that what we're doing here?
Sure. Go ahead.
All right. I would say for the 49ers right now, it's actually an 8. I would say it's that high. I would say it's that high for a couple reasons. One, Brock Purdy it's being proven that he's a system quarterback, which isn't a bad thing. Like other quarterbacks have made it work when they've been forced, or whatever word you want to use, when they've turned into a system quarterback. However you want to say it. System quarterbacks have won in the past. But it's become clear that Brock Purdy needs Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel. He needs his full complement of guys around him, of skill position players. And if one of them is out, it feels like he can't quite step up to the plate and find other guys. That's part of the problem, was Deebo Samuel was not there last night, and I think that's part of the reason why Brock Purdy struggled. But here's the other reason for my level of concern. Because they've now lost 2 straight, as you illustrated, against the Browns and Vikings. Let me give you their upcoming schedule. This week they host Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, and the Cincinnati Bengals. You don't think the Bengals are licking their chops offensively after they saw what Jordan Addison and Kirk Cousins did to the 49ers defense last night? Last night. And then San Francisco has their bye week. After that, they have to go down to Jacksonville and see Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars, who seem to be finding their groove. And then Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield, Buccaneers are playing well.
Are they? They just put up 10 points against the Falcons, Josh.
Okay, fair. But then in week 12, they have Thursday night football, Thanksgiving in Seattle against the Seahawks.
That's a win.
Week
Tito
13
Smith won't beat that team.
Week 13, it's the big one. Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, 49ers Eagles. Okay?
That's a loss.
And then week 14, the Seahawks go to San Francisco. So that's a
tough playing them 2 out of 3. Yeah, I'll give you that. All right.
That's a gauntlet of a schedule.
Once again, it is my turn because I completely disagree with you. My scale on 1 to 10, I'm going all the way low to a 1. And you know how much I don't even like the Niners. I don't think they're as good as people say, but they're going to be fine. They're still a very good team. They're a very good roster. Purdy will bounce back. By the way, I don't even think they beat Cincinnati this weekend. I'm picking Cincinnati plus 5.5, and I think they'll still be fine. They'll still get 11, 12 wins. They'll be the number 2 seed in the NFC, right behind my Philadelphia Eagles, who will have 12 to 13 wins and get the number 1 seed. And then they will meet the Eagles in the NFC Championship game or divisional round, and they will lose again. Because San Francisco, unlike many people, want to think that they have this all great quarterback in Brock Purdy. He's not that great. And by the way, their pass rush,
System quarterback, just like I said.
by the way, where's that vaunted pass rush led by Nick Bosa? Where did that go last night? Is
I don't know.
Somebody on this panel, I think, told me Nick Bosa is one of the best defensive players in football. I don't know. I didn't see it. I think Philly has a way better defensive line than San Francisco. Somebody told me that Brock Purdy needs a wide back and Deebo Samuel, or he's going to fall apart. Oh my God. I mean, really, this is the thing I don't like about the Niners, okay? And my bias is showing up here. I don't care. San Francisco's a bunch of whiners. Oh, we don't have Debo. We don't have McCaffrey. We don't have Trent Williams. It's week 7 of the National Football League. Do you realize the Eagles had an undrafted defensive back and Eli Rich from Alabama locked down Tyreek Hill on the pivotal 4th down play because half our secondary is out? Does anybody realize that Howie Roseman may have just won General Manager of the Year again by going out and giving Kevin Byard for nothing because we didn't have a legitimate starting safety because Reed Blankenship, one of the hardest hitters in the league, has been out. Nakobe Dean just came back after 5 weeks off. Wayne Johnson's been dealing with an ankle injury for 2 years, playing basically every snap on it. Like, give me a break. There are teams around this league dealing with multiple injuries. How many people did Miami have out in the secondary Sunday night? And San Francisco's crying their eyes out that they don't have Deebo Samuel. Like, come on, man.
Hey, I'm not making excuses for the San Francisco 49ers. That's not what I'm trying to say at all.
No, I realize that's not what you're trying to say. I realize that's what some of these pundits and Niners people and all those experts out there are trying to say. Fact of the matter is, though, you're a little bit concerned. I know this is the way the NFL works. I've seen it happen. How many years did the bad Browns teams beat those New England teams that went on to win Super Bowls? Like, it happens. Losing happens. Getting blown out happens. Bad week happens. It's who's healthy at the end of the season. San Francisco's going to right the ship. I don't believe in Seattle. As much as you love Geno Smith, I'm sorry. They have not looked good. I know they beat Arizona, but they didn't look very good against Arizona. They have not looked good since arguably when they beat the Lions in week 2 in Detroit. That might have been their best game of the season. I'm not sold on Seattle. I think the Rams defense isn't very good. And we know obviously what Arizona is. So by default in that division, I think they're going to be just fine.
I wouldn't be too quick to say that about Seattle.
I know you think Seattle's going to steal the division. Show me a good game Geno Smith has played this year outside of Detroit. He has not played well.
Well, I get to see Seattle up close and personal this week, so I'll let you know.
You will. I'm excited about that.